I'm going to give you another example. So a patient comes to me. He's got severe coronary arteries. He did a calcium score and was positive. He's 45 years old. He thought he was perfectly healthy, felt great. He's not really overweight. His blood pressure is also good. But his doctor told him, get a calcium score because your dad had coronary artery disease and one of your mates at work just died. So here's his artery and it's got calcium buildup in it. So he comes to me. He says, what should I be doing now, doc? You're going to make me fast too because you're a fasting doctor. So it depends. Let me see. Let me see what's going on with you. Let me see what's going on with you. So why does he have this calcium? So obviously I'll do my metabolic testing because I'm all about insulin, and his insulin comes back normal. It's fine. Insulin's great. A 1C normal. He's got coronary calcium. So then I do an ultrasound of his liver and he's got a fatty liver. So I say, wait a second. Why would you have a fatty liver? So I'm going to tell you why he's got a fatty liver. One reason is always insulin, right? But his insulin was fine, so that's not the problem. Another one is alcohol. He tells me he's not drinking. He doesn't drink alcohol. Gosh, do you take protein shakes because you just want to be buff, right? So he says, no, I don't take protein shakes because branched chain amino acids, if you take too much of those, it'll cause a fatty liver. He doesn't have that. What's causing your fatty liver? Well, hepatitis infections. He doesn't have any. I do a hepatitis panel on him. Everything's negative. Why do you have a fatty liver? Why would you have a fatty liver then? Well, what drains into the fatty liver is the portal vein. What's the portal vein? The portal vein is after all the nutrients from the intestines. This is your sewage canal. We all have a sewage canal. So sometimes, all the nutrients that come out from the intestines, they come into the portal vein. And the next place for processing is the liver. So the first place for processing of anything that comes into your body is the border control, which is your Peyer's patches, which are in the wall of your intestine. These are gastrointestinal, your body's immune system, lymphoid system, right in the walls. And they are very, very important. So when you eat something, it gets in here. It gets mixed with the enzymes. And by the way, you only have about 18 enzymes, and they digest that food, break it down into pieces. And then what are all these dots over here? These are food particles. Okay. But there's something else in your gut, and they are these little red dots inside your gut. And those are 100 trillion bacteria. So now this food comes along over here, the bacteria is in here, and the lymphoid system processes everything, keeps everything in check. Here, there's a nice layer of mucin, a thick layer of mucin that separates the sewage canal from your bloodstream. There's also in this lining, the cells are all joined together by enzymes. So these are gap junctions, and they are all intact. So they don't allow stuff to come through. They are very intact. They're very good. Okay? Only certain things can come in. Certain things cannot come in. So our defense system is the mucin layer, the lymphoid system, the gap junctions. But what happens if there's a leak here and stuff is getting through? And if stuff is getting through, it gets into the portal vein and then goes to your liver, and it can cause inflammation in your liver. This is called gastrointestinal permeability problem. It's called leaky gut. Some people call it leaky gut, and I never used to believe in this thing. Never believed it until we did all the research, reading, and everything else, and started reading about this about 8 years ago. And it's become very clear to me that bacterial wall products, dead bacteria, can get through if there's a leaky gut, and when they get through, they get inside the portal vein and they can get in here into the liver and cause a fatty liver. And what I'm saying more and more in my practice is that many patients have a fatty liver for which I have no real cause. And when we run tests on them to look for leaky gut, they're going to have a leaky gut. And that explains why they got this fatty liver. Now he's got coronary calcium. What's that got to do with the fatty liver? So it gets a little complicated, so just bear with me. Lipopolysaccharides that get through here get taken up by macrophages, and they also get taken up by LDL, your normal cholesterol particles. And when they do so, the LDL becomes a small, dense particle. These small, dense particles get taken up by the white cells as well. And when they get taken up into the coronary artery here, these macrophages get inside the wall, die inside the wall, liberate that small, dense LDL, and you get a little pool of fat in the wall of the artery, and this is inflammatory. And when it is inflammatory, why? Because that's still a foreign particle. So you're going to get inflammation here. T cells against it, B cells against it, and this is inflamed. And when it's inflamed, it can break open here just like a pimple. Now, I want to give you a concept. Atherosclerosis is an inflammation of the walls of the arteries. I want you to think about a reverse pimple. You have a pimple on the skin, right? One day it's growing bigger, bigger, bigger. Then suddenly it bursts open, right? That could be one of your pimples inside your arteries. There's the difference between a calcified, stable plaque, as we call it, and soft plaque. Soft plaque that is very translucent, very full of fat and inflammatory cells are not so calcified. They will one day become calcified when they heal, but in this stage they can be vulnerable, just like a pimple, break open and a blood clot forms on it. If a blood clot forms on it, it can re-endothelialize, but if a big blood clot forms on it, you can actually get occlusion of the artery and get a heart attack. So in some patients who I don't find any obvious cause for the coronary calcification, I ran all my tests and I don't come up with it. Why should this guy have so much coronary calcium? Never smoked. It comes down to this, and if it comes down to this, which I call metabolic endotoxemia, if he has metabolic endotoxemia, what else am I going to do but treat the metabolic endotoxemia? And how do you treat it? Through diet and fasting, okay? Because you're going to heal this through diet and fasting. You see how diet and fasting has so many impacts. I showed you the first case where it impacts on your hormones. Now I'm showing you where it impacts on your gut, and I'm going to tell you how it impacts on your gut. First thing I do with this guy is I'm going to do a test to see whether he has food sensitivities. So if he has wheat sensitivity, and I'm not talking about gluten sensitivity, wheat sensitivity, there are approximately 600 odd proteins in wheat, of which only 2 of them are gluten. The rest are wheat proteins. Wheat proteins cause a reaction in the body, and they can cause a leaky gut. So that's one mechanism. There are other sensitivities: corn sensitivity, egg sensitivity, dairy sensitivity. There's so many sensitivities that we have actually identified that can cause a leaky gut. So I'll do a food sensitivity test. We avoid those for now. Next, I look at this. If they've got specific GI symptoms, I will order either a hydrogen methane breath test or I will order a stool test. What is a hydrogen methane breath test? It is a test to look for what is known as small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. If you have the wrong bacteria in here, you're going to get a very thin mucin layer, and when your mucin layer is gone, you have a hole in the wall. You want lots of nice thick mucin in here. You must have good bacteria in your gut as well. So if you have good bacteria, you'll have nice thick mucin layer as well. So it's very important that we know what's going on inside the gut by making sure that we have a good bacterial population living in the gut over here. So in the small bowel, what is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? This is it. I'll turn around to this guy and I'll say, hey, after eating some carbs and sugars, do you get really bloated and gassy? Yeah, man, I feel terrible after eating those, so I have to stay away from all bread, all sugar, all carbs, because if I do, I get really bloaty and gassy. Oh, you do? Okay, so let's do a methane breath test, or rather hydrogen breath test. So then he blows into this little tube after drinking some sugar water, and we measure his hydrogen output at 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours. And if there's a greater than 20 parts per million increase in his hydrogen levels, where did that hydrogen come from? It's the bad bacteria in his gut. So the bad bacteria consume the carbs, produce the hydrogen. So those bad bacteria, where are they? They're in the small intestine. Are they supposed to be there? No, we are supposed to have the bacteria. Most of them are supposed to be in your colon. So what happens is when you don't give a good diet to the patient, when you're not feeding the bacteria with the right fiber, they move. First, they start eating you up. If you don't feed your bacteria with the right fibers, polysaccharides, what's fiber? Polysaccharide. What is this mucin? It's a polysaccharide. You don't give me any fiber, I'm going to eat your mucin. If I eat your mucin, you're going to get what? Leaky gut. You see why fiber is so important? That's why I tell them, right? You got to start eating fiber because you want these guys to be happy and eat the fiber that I'm going to give you, which is soluble fiber. I'm not talking about the thick stuff that gives you big bowel movements. I'm talking about soluble fiber. Soluble fiber such as inulin, one that when you put it in water, it becomes clear, and the kind of fiber that you all know about, but you just don't know how to prepare it. For example, if you're going to make rice, I know you love rice, well, why don't you cook it, cool it off, put it in the refrigerator and eat it the next day? Because you'll have resistant starch, because what you've done is change that polysaccharide into a form that now you can't deal with it. Because it changed structurally by cooling it, heating it, cooling it, and then eating it the next day, heating it again, and you can't digest it now. But much of that soluble fiber in that rice or potatoes or sweet potato will make its way to the colon, and then who's going to eat it? the bacteria. And because the bacteria are eating it, they're not going to eat you. See, it all comes in together. The whole picture comes in together. It's beautiful, beautiful picture. So I want the good bacteria to be in here. So I'm going to turn around to that patient. I'm going to say, look, what are you eating? What fiber are you eating? How often are you? Now, why is it important for fasting? How am I going to fix this guy through fasting? Because when you fast and you stop eating all those bad foods, the bacteria population changes. So the SIBO will change. Because remember, the hydrogen is produced by the bacteria that moved because you didn't have them in the right place. Once you treat the SIBO, and it is treatable, it's a treatable condition, you get rid of that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Now the patient feels, I feel so much better. And it's simple things. I give them herbs and I give them special types of basically it's herbs and essential oils, and I'll also give them some probiotics to take, and I'll give them prebiotics, which is good fiber afterwards. But there's a whole protocol that we have to treat small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. The fasting becomes part of this program because when you fast for more than 8 to 10 hours, the bad boys die because the bad boys all need sugar. The good boys, they survive. Their keystone species survive. So fasting is an integral part of the treatment of bacterial overgrowth as well, and you want to restore the population of bacteria in your gut to the right diversity. Fasting is an integral part of it. You must fast to restore the flora. Plus, when you don't eat and you stop putting things down there all the time, your gut gets a chance to heal. So, if you have a leaky gut, the gap junctions will get better. The energy that you're giving to your intestines will also get better. Because this is a very energy-consuming process to repair your gut, because your gut lining changes over in a matter of hours. It's biologically, metabolically, your intestinal lining is extremely active. So look here again, fasting fixes part of the problem. That's why I tell my patient, so this guy, I'm going to be telling him to get this test. If his hydrogen test is positive, we're going to treat it. Go to a cardiologist and you get medicines for your stomach and for your intestine? Yeah, you want to get a sample of your poop from a cardiologist's office? Yes, a cardiologist is going to order a poop sample on you. Now, I don't do it on every patient, don't get me wrong, okay? But there are patients that do poop samples on. For example, the guy will come and say to me, Doc, I get 4 to 5 loose bowel movements a day. Now, that's not normal. Is that normal? He's got something wrong with him, right? Now, for him, I might do a stool sample. Or he comes and says, Doc, I only go to the bathroom once every 5 days, and then sometimes I go 6 days, and then boom, I get a little bit of diarrhea. Well, that's overflow. Now, that kind of guy, I'll probably do a stool sample on as well. Now, the thing is that if you do a colonoscopy on this guy, what are you going to find in there? You're going to find nothing. But it's functionally what's going on. Because remember that these bacteria in your gut not only do this mischief, but they also affect the enteric nervous system of your gut. What is the enteric nervous system? It's the second largest brain. You've got the neurons. The number of neurons in your brain is the highest. Second highest is in your gut. So this is the nervous system in the wall of your gut. And hopefully, if it's working properly, it keeps the movement in one direction. But more importantly than that also is that these are vagus nerve connections that go to your brain. Chemicals in your gut and in your wall can actually go up the vagus nerve and go into your brain. It can also get into your bloodstream through your liver and then get into your brain this way. So when you think something or feel something, it may not be you. I just want you to think about this. You see, we think it's all about us. I'm saying that if you have mental fog or if you have depression, who's depressed? Because I've seen this in my patients. We fix this and they come back very happy. And I'm saying, is he really happy now because he found an answer to all this stuff? Is that why he's happy? Or is he happy because his neurotransmitters from his dysfunctional gut have now gone down and his brain is better? And we know that depression also is an inflammatory condition. You get rid of inflammation in the body and depression gets better. So it's all linked in together. So it's just observations on patients that tell you that you know there's something more going on here than simply fixing the gut. So treat SIBO, treat the diet, change what's going on, what you're putting into your gut, especially fiber. You want soluble fiber in your diet. Now, soluble fiber, besides feeding these boys here, it also does other things in the upper part with the hormones, like that first guy I told you about, right, who had insulin resistance. So how's he going to benefit from having more fiber in his diet? He's going to benefit because when he takes a teaspoon of inulin, or quarter teaspoon of inulin, I should say, in a glass of water before his dinner, what happens is that it lines the duodenum with this very smooth layer, so that fiber is hiding the K cells behind the duodenum, so they're going to produce less hormones that are going to trigger that pancreas to produce a massive rise in insulin. You're masking it so that he's not going to get a big spike in his insulin. That's why you want to eat foods with fiber in it. That's why you want to change your diet. Food must contain fiber. Food must be natural. Food must be real food. Food must be masticated, not drank. Don't drink your food, you got to eat it. If you want the proof of it, then take your mixer and put some stuff into it. Whatever you want, juice it, and then take it and put it in a saucer and look at it. Then I want you to take that same food and eat it. But don't swallow it and spit it out into the next saucer. And you look at the two. They're totally different. You're not supposed to drink your food. You're supposed to chew your food because it changes the consistency. You're not supposed to cut all the fiber into slithering so they become totally ineffective. Why? I put spinach, lots of fiber in it. They just destroyed all the fiber by putting it through the machine. And there were no 110 outlets in the caves as far as I remember. So it's totally unnatural. So there you go. So coming back to this guy, so in him also, so what type of fasting am I going to make this guy do? I'm going to make this guy do a different kind of fasting. I'm going to identify all this, but he's going to do time-restricted feeding. Simple. It's fasting still, but he's going to probably do, for this kind of guy, I'll do 18 to 6, which is my favorite fasting for most people that walk in. If I just had to throw a dice on most people, it's going to be 18 and 6, because I just think that that's the best results I've had with most of my patients here in my office, but also from the millions that are doing it out in the world. It gives the gut an 18-hour break when they're only consuming water. For 6 hours, they're going to feed during that 6-hour window. During those 6 hours, I don't have time to count the calories. All you got to do is eat real food. Food that looks like real food. It has to be real food. No processing, no artificial ingredients in it, no colorings, no emulsifiers. But what's an emulsifier? What on earth is an emulsifier, Doc? I don't know what's an emulsifier. I don't eat emulsifiers. Yes, you do. You all eat emulsifiers. An emulsifier is like palm olive oil. No, palm olive, dishwasher. Fancy swallowing some of that. So what it does is it gets down in here and it dissolves this. God is an emulsifier. An emulsifier mixes oil and water, so that's why you don't want emulsifiers. Now, all processed foods have emulsifiers. Why do they have emulsifiers? Because otherwise your cookie will just spread out. Emulsifier keeps everything together, the oil and the water together. Your bread has emulsifiers in it and it shouldn't. Right? Has all sorts of ingredients. Bread should only have 3 ingredients. Instead, most bread today has at least 12 ingredients in it. Most of those names you can't even pronounce. When you say polysorbate, what is polysorbate? That's an emulsifier. Your ice cream? Oh yeah, I just have a little bit of ice cream every day. That's an emulsifier in it. That's what's keeping everything together. Stop eating ice cream. So, there's a lot of, whenever you read polysorbate or anything that looks similar to polysorbate, those are wholly emulsifiers. Don't eat those things. So coming back to where we were, so this guy is going to do 18 to 6. He's going to drink water. He's not going to put in here any estrogens or estrogen stimulators. Well, I don't eat estrogens. Of course you eat estrogens, because if you're eating these days a lot of fish, they're going to have estrogens in them. You're going to eat plastics. Anything that's in plastics or estrogen receptor stimulators and any colorings, any flavorings, they are all going to create an obesogenic microbiome because they're going to affect your microbiome, including all your sweeteners. So basically, I'm going to give him a diet that's going to be only whole food, 18 to 6. Get your gut in order. So that's this one. I'm going to run on because I do have a lot more to cover here. So if you really liked and enjoyed this video, then check out this clip because I think you'll find it very helpful. And of course, if you want to see the full video, this is where you'd go now. Also, don't forget to check out my website because there's lots of educational materials and resources there. You'll also find how to contact me or have a consultation with me. So please do check out my website. Thank you.